Public Memory by Kim
and Joe.
Public memory and history are two very different things. It's important to note the distinction between. History relates to the facts and artifacts of the past that are shared with future generations. It's the preservation of official history. Public memory is the remembrance and celebration of the past to share with the future generations. Some examples of public memory can be monuments or memorials. History, some examples could be artifacts, things in museums, such like those. In this presentation, we'll be going over 4 events that fall under public memory. 1 being Charlottesville, Virginia. 2 being the attacks of September 11, 2001. 3 being the Vietnam War. And 4 being Pearl Harbor.
Robert E. Lee was a commander in the Confederate Army during the Civil War. Now, history would say that Robert E. Lee was just a commander in the Army. But public memory would say that he betrayed the United States trying to defend slavery. Now, fast forward to 2017, Charlottesville, Virginia. White supremacists are trying to keep up a statue of Robert E. Lee because they think that he was a good leader. But people of color fought against this because the memory of Robert E. Lee is a memory of pain, a memory of suffering. See,
September 11th, 2001. A day of grief. A day of courage.
September 11th, 2001. The planes hit the Twin Tower. They crash into the Pentagon. Chaos, destruction. Nobody knows what's going on. History would say this was a terrorist attack. The planes crashed into the Pentagon and into the Twin Towers. Public memory would say this is also a terrorist attack, but there were lives lost, family, friends, people of service. It was horrific and it was horrifying for everyone. In New York City, there's the 9/11 Memorial. It remembers and honors the firefighters and citizens that lost their lives when trying to save others and trying to survive when the planes hit the Twin Towers. It's a reminder to always be looking and watching around you and speak up. It's why we have such tighter security in airports and in buildings. It's why everyone encourages you, if you see something, say something. Because in our memory, in our own public memory, this taught us a lesson for our future generations. It taught us to make sure to be looking out and saying something when we don't know if things are correct or not. The Vietnam War. In history, it was the longest lasting war in American history. For public memory, it was a divided nation as to whether or not we should be going to this war.
American soldiers hiking their way through the sweaty jungles of South Vietnam, searching for an elusive enemy. The temperature is almost 100 degrees, and the jungle stifles even the tiniest breeze. The going is slow. There could be a...
As many of us know, textbooks serve as history. They preserve the past and write them down for us to learn as we're growing up through middle school, high school, and even college. But textbooks at this time presented America as an exceptional nation in human history, which might not be correct as to what we, the American citizens, the public, felt we were. Textbooks have glossed over the controversial issues, portrayed Americans' interventions as unavoidable, and is inconclusive and confused about how to characterize this era. The public memory of the times are affecting the history that we preserve.
The House of Representatives, yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
A day that will live in infamy. This famous quote by Franklin D. Roosevelt will never be forgotten in American history. Although it may be forgotten that some 2,000 Americans have lost their lives at the hands of the Japanese, the public memory, this famous quote by Franklin D. Roosevelt is one that we will never forget in American history. Although we may forget about Pearl Harbor and the some 2,000 Americans that lost their lives to the Japanese, this famous quote will forever live on in our society, because it is a phrase that Americans hold deep to their memories. Even if one of their loved ones is forgotten, they will remember, and they will know.
In this presentation, we'll be going over 4 different types of public memory. In this presentation, we'll be going over 4 events that fall under public memory. 1 being Charlottesville, Virginia. 2 being the attacks of September 11, 2001. 3 being the Vietnam War. And 4 being Pearl Harbor.
Public memory is what we perceive and what not to perceive to be right, and what we are willing to share with future generations. History is just the facts.